All right, let's talk about the single most important milestone for any new product or startup. It's called product market fit. You know, if you get this right, you're on the path to success. But if you get it wrong, well, you pretty much become another statistic.
So, what's the #1 reason new products fail? You might think it's a lack of funding, or maybe just not having a brilliant idea, but that's not it. The real killer is building something that nobody truly loves and then trying to scale it anyway. So let's figure out what that love actually looks like in business terms.
This right here is the classic, most perfect definition of product market fit, or PMF, from the legendary investor Mark Andreessen. It's that magic moment when you create something so good that the market basically starts pulling it away from you. It just clicks.
And this is the crucial point. PMF is not about having a cool idea or a slick prototype. Nope. It's about having cold, hard, real-world proof that a specific group of people not only wants what you've built, but they truly need it and will keep coming back for more.
The best way to think about it is this leap from theory to reality. Stage 1, that's problem-solution fit. You're basically in the lab asking, hey, does this problem even exist? You're working with mock-ups, you're making a lot of guesses. Stage 2 is when you finally step out into the real world with a real product for real users and you start getting real data back.
Now, trying to skip that validation step is just catastrophic. It leads to what everyone in the startup world calls the leaky bucket syndrome. You spend a fortune on sales and marketing to port customers into the top of your bucket, but they leak out the bottom just as fast because the product isn't quite right yet. It's not sticky. So how do you prove your bucket is actually solid? It's not a gut feeling, right? It's all about passing 3 critical data-driven tests. Let's walk through the first one. First off, your minimum viable product, your MVP, has to be live and used by real people. We're talking at least 100 active users. But here's the real kicker: weekly retention. Are at least 40% of those people coming back week after week? Because if they're not, that is a huge red flag that something is fundamentally wrong.
And this is a perfect example of what an MVP really is. For a meal planning app, the MVP absolutely has to have plan creation, recipe suggestions, and a shopping list. That's the core solution. Things like social sharing or calorie tracking, those are just nice-to-haves that can wait. They don't solve the main problem.
All right, on to the second test. Having users is one thing, but do they actually love your product? Is it just a tool they tolerate, or is it something they can't imagine their week without? This is where we have to measure how they really feel.
And we measure this love with a fantastic metric called the Net Promoter Score, or NPS. It all boils down to one super simple but incredibly powerful question. On a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend this product to a friend or colleague? Here's how it works. You group the answers into 3 buckets. Anyone who gives you a 9 or 10, those are your promoters. They're your champions. 7s and 8s are passives. They're satisfied but kind of meh. And anyone from 0 to 6 is a detractor. They might actually be telling people not to use you. You just subtract the percentage of detractors from the promoters.
So what's the magic number? You are shooting for an NPS score of 30 or higher. To put that in perspective, anything above 0 is considered good, so hitting 30 means you're in a very, very strong position. It's a clear signal that people genuinely value what you've built.
Now for my favorite one. This is the most direct, no-nonsense question of all, created by the growth expert Sean Ellis. This one cuts right to the heart of it. Is your product actually indispensable to your users?
And the benchmark for this test is legendary. It's called the 40% rule. If 40% or more of your users say they would be very disappointed if your product disappeared tomorrow, congratulations. That is a massive signal that you have very likely found product market fit.
Okay, last but not least, the third test. A great product that people love is awesome, but it's totally useless if no one knows it exists. You have to prove you can get new customers affordably and in a way you can repeat, and that means running some methodical tests to find your best marketing channel.
You measure this with something called customer acquisition cost, or CAC. It sounds fancy, but it's simple. You just divide your total ad spend for a channel by the number of new users you got from it. In this example, with a CAC of just $5, Facebook is the clear winner and the channel you'd absolutely want to double down on. So once you have passed all 3 of these trials, you've got traction, you've got customer love, and you have a way to get more customers, you finally earn the right to ask that big, exciting question. Is it time to hit the gas pedal? But hold on, before you do, you must be able to check every single one of these 5 boxes. This is not a friendly suggestion, it's a non-negotiable checklist. Seriously, trying to scale before you can check all 5 is how you turn a promising startup into a failed one. Now, this is so important. Even after finding PMF, a lot of startups still manage to fail. They fall victim to a few common and completely avoidable mistakes right at this critical moment.
And the biggest mistake of all is focusing on vanity metrics. Sure, 10,000 signups feels great, but it means absolutely nothing if 99% of those users are inactive. You have to ignore the numbers that make you feel good and focus on the ones that tell the true story: active users, weekly retention, and your NPS score. So let's just summarize the key takeaways. Do obsess over retention more than anything else. Do talk to your real users every single week. And do keep your product simple and focused. What you absolutely must not do is spend money on marketing to fill that leaky bucket, bloat your product with features nobody asked for, or worry about pricing before people even love the thing.
And that's really the ultimate question that this whole process forces you to answer. It's not just about building something that functions, it's about building something that actually matters to people. Proving your product deserves to grow, that is the unshakable foundation for literally everything that comes next.